BXB. It's in the game!
Hey guys, it's me Ben, back with another one of my quick reviews, and this time I'm looking at Surviving Mars on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and PC, though it's important to note I am reviewing this game on the Xbox One, so I am playing a city builder strategy game on a console, which always provides interesting challenges. And this one, of which there have now been many entries into this genre on console, I'm very happy to say, because I really enjoy them. This one is brought to us by Highmont Games and Paradox Interactive, long-standing developers and publishers of these types of city building, management, strategy games. And this one is all about, as you might have guessed from the title, surviving on Mars, establishing that very first colony on a Martian landscape, setting up that outpost. And it actually provides really interesting challenges and sort of differentiating elements to the genre that you maybe haven't seen in some of the other entries that have appeared on console recently, like Planet Base and Aven Colony, which, by the way, I have also reviewed and that you can check out on the YouTube channel or on the website, BXB Games. Got to get that plug in there. That's how these things work. So, in Surviving Mars, the first thing I noticed that was kind of different was that when you first set up the colony, you don't have any human colonists. You're just doing drones and robotic stuff to actually establish a sort of ecosystem that will mean the human colonists can show up and then prosper and be successful. Because if you don't get things like that oxygen production, water production, and then later food production just right, and I mean just right, you are going to have a failed colony. And you're probably going to have failed colonies anyway. There's quite a steep learning curve to surviving Mars. It's very easy to overexpand, to run out of resources that you need, and then start like a chain of catastrophic events that basically mean your colony will die. I often had problems with dehydration in my colonists, not enough water, created by things like a mixture of not a robust enough system of dependencies, and therefore because of that, when there was like an ecological disaster or a freeze, which is what happened in my colony, my water resources froze, and then my colonists in the dome died, and it was all just this catastrophic cascading failure that rippled through the colony and took everything out. And that's the fun of these types of games, you're going to have to be thinking very carefully about how you manage your resources, and then you're going to have to play a few times before you get the idea of what your best build queue is, what your best research options are. Much like in a 4X game, which is a little bit different for these colony management games, you have a really deep R&D tech tree. You also have the ability to do things like, you're ordering colonists, and you're also able to get resources from Earth, which will then come and land at the colony. And that often saved me a couple of times. But, these things come at a cost. So it's like a finite resource you can't completely be over-dependent on. I think the game looks really nice. There's a definite depth to this particular iteration of colony management that maybe some of the others haven't had. You can tell Paradox know what they're doing with these type of deep games. This is definitely more on the difficult end of the spectrum when it comes to the interconnected resources. All your colonists, for example, have different wants and needs and weaknesses and things like that, and you can actually try and pick the colonists that come to your colony to fill the gaps needed for continued beneficial expansion. You also have to think about like rare earth minerals. You have to get your metal stuff. You're going to be mining concrete. You're going to be managing that O2 and the water, like I mentioned. Those are super important because you are fighting the environment at all times in Surviving Mars, as well as expanding and researching and pushing out the colony. And there were even maybe some sci-fi elements in here. Surviving Mars is very much a realistic take on this kind of colonization of a foreign alien world which is hostile to human life and all the challenges that may bring. I found that really engaging. Reported. Sometimes, you're going to have a little bit of bad luck. You're going to get a bad roll on like a meteor hit or a cold snap, and that is just going to lead to a cascade of problems that you will not be able to dig yourself out of. But if you take some time and you're willing to throw yourself at these sort of these scenarios a couple of times until you get the hang of things, you're going to find yourself building a bigger and bigger and more prosperous colony that expands across Mars with domes and mining facilities and all kinds of advanced tech and everything that brings. There's a real satisfaction to it, and I love these types of games. I love cracking the puzzle of the environmental storytelling. There's some very nice elements and you know, it might be a bit text heavy, but there's some story in here. There's a meta narrative. There's elements of, you know, science fiction in there that I don't want to spoil that really come into the later games and stuff like that. But if you don't mind a little bit of failure, a little bit of trial and error, and definitely one of the harder iterations of these sort of colony management games, Surviving Mars is a really enjoyable challenge that I'm going to keep going back to again and again and again over the course of my time playing it on Xbox. It's got a season pass, and I'll be excited to see what comes out in that as well. So I'm going to give Surviving Mars a very fair, very enjoyable 4 out of 5 stars.
BXB. It's in the game.